Welcome to Tech Talk Nation, talking about the latest tech, industry news, and hot topics. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit our website at techtalknation.com.
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk Nation. I'm your host, Matt Fitzgerald, and today we have a wonderful show for you today. There has been a lot going on in the tech world the past week. We have some great stories coming from Apple, who just had their WWDC event. A lot of cool things to talk about there. We have space, some cool things about Mars, cool kind of discoveries, I guess you could say there. A lot of news with Amazon coming down the pipeline here, and a certain former CEO potentially taking a ride out to space. We'll get more on that later. A couple of other things we have, some news with Tesla, as usual, and our obligatory NFTs and other stories that we have for us today. So, without further ado, we are joined once again by my counterpart here. We have Matt Grislow with us once again today. How you doing, Grislow?
I'm doing well, Fitz. How you doing?
I am doing very well. And you, sir, were a busy man today. You watched something that I was too busy to watch. And what may that have been?
Yeah. So today, as I'm sure a lot of you know, Apple's kicked off their WWDC 21 event. It was another virtual event just like last year, and they had their keynote at, I believe it was, well, my time, Eastern, it was like 1 p.m. Ran for approximately 2 hours, and they went over a ton of software stuff. And so I'm excited to talk to you kind of about it today. Now, recap some of the bigger points of it, because, I mean, like I said, it's a 2-hour event, and I could talk about it for 2 hours as well, but I am not going to do that.
Alrighty. Well,
so I guess without further ado, let's get into that.
So, actually, we're going to take a little bit of a step back first and talk about this one article that you sent in. Ahead of the Worldwide Developer Conference, Apple boasts its AirTag privacy measures that they now have increased within their AirTags. Long story short, basically, they're just saying that, hey, people could track you. So we're going to try and prevent that. They're going to now offer an Android app that will let you know whether you're being tracked. And they're also going to, it says initially the Apple device would play sounds in 3 days. Now it'll begin to play random times inside a window that lasts between 8 and 24 hours. So that's kind of the highlights there. Grislow, you want any comments on that?
I mean, not many. I mean, I just remember discussing the AirTags the day they were released, or not too far from the day they were released on the podcast. And the biggest thing that we talked about was privacy. Obviously, with a tracking device, it's going to be your biggest issue, and it's something that Apple takes very seriously. And so clearly, they're trying to improve that. They're recognizing after having the product out in the wild for, I want to say, about a month or so, or maybe a few weeks, they're realizing that they need to tweak some things, and so they're doing it. And I applaud them for it, especially creating an Android app to help on that side of things.
Definitely. Well, I don't want to touch a ton on that because we have so much more to get to with the Worldwide Developers Conference. And there's this really good article that The Verge wrote that you sent in, Grislow. Thank you so much for doing the majority of the article research in this video, actually. But basically, they did a really cool recap. A lot of cool stuff coming out of this. I'm going to let you just go all out on this and see what you have to say. I wasn't really there, so I didn't read a ton into it.
Yeah. So you actually sent an article in our chat that, I mean, is bundled into this whole thing here. Apple made a lot of software updates today. I guess right out of the gate, just saying it now. There were obviously some hopes for some people, including myself, that Apple would include some hardware updates today. In fact, there was one point in time where they started talking about AirPods, where I could have sworn they took out of the guy's ear in a close-up shot a brand new revamped version of the regular AirPods, but that was not the case. The event was totally software-based, and they went over all of their major softwares for upgrades for iOS, Mac OS, iPad OS, Watch OS. Did I say Mac OS?
Yes, you did.
And then some other general things like HomeKit. And so I guess to kick it off, they started with iOS, trying to push a lot of new improvements and updates. FaceTime was a big talking point at this event, in this portion of the event. Some of those new features now including spatial audio for the people on the screen. So depending on where someone is in the screen, your audio is going to change based upon that. And also, probably the biggest thing from this portion of the event, and probably one of the biggest things of the entire event, was the announcement that FaceTime is now being brought to web browser. You can send a link to invite your friends who don't have iOS devices, and you can have FaceTimes with them, which is really cool and interesting too, because we're starting to see all kinds of other companies, Microsoft trying to improve Teams for their video conferencing. FaceTime has been exclusive to iOS devices, and now they're trying to bring it to the broader video conferencing community. And I think it's a good thing. I find it frustrating at times when I have a group of people I want to talk to, and the majority of us have iPhones, and there's that one or two people that don't have it. Yes, we can't use that, and so we have to go and rely on other apps. Doing this, using the new in-browser feature kind of helps to bridge that gap and allows you to stay in that same friendly ecosystem that is frankly pretty robust and well built. I don't believe you can have as many occupants in the calls as Teams or Skype or Zoom. I believe the cap might be like 36 or something for FaceTime. It might be higher. I can't quite remember.
I don't think it says in this article, but
yeah, they did a lot of FaceTime updates last year with iOS 14, and so now with 15, they're trying to just make this a more robust app and try and bring it to the masses. And so they're doing that with their new updates here. Another thing they're doing with iOS is trying to do some things with privacy, or at least with self-privacy, or like do not disturb features. And so they put that into their notifications as well as their in the Messages app now. You can basically say in your different conversations that you're kind of unavailable, don't bother me, and you can sidestep that if you have like an urgent topic you want to talk with that person. One thing I actually did not mention, which is another big feature of iOS 15, is this new feature called Shareplay, which is basically just screen sharing for iOS and Apple devices. It's being extended across a lot of the products, the iPad, the iPhone, I believe also the Apple TV, and to Macs as well. So there it is there. You'll be able to share video and music with other people on your call, not just on your screen, but also in other streaming apps and music sharing services. And Apple will be opening up their Shareplay API to other developers and for other companies, so that, for example, you can have like a big viewing party of a TV show at night with friends, or if you're doing long distance with a significant other, you can get together and watch stuff on your devices. I know I had tried to do that in the past on my Surface Book, and it was just problematic. It wasn't a great feature. It was very clunky and it didn't really work well. Apple's billing this as a very robust, very well built feature, and they think that this is going to be a big thing moving forward, especially as part of this keynote today. There's a big emphasis on trying to stay connected with people long distance. We've seen that as something that a lot of companies have tried to kind of tackle as a problem during this COVID pandemic. And clearly with iOS 15, this is a new feature that is being pushed pretty heavily. But I think it also has a lot of good applications outside of a pandemic.
Definitely.
So there was that. They had a lot of other iOS stuff. To be honest with you, I don't really think many of them were that important. Updates to photos, new abilities to automatically create different sort of like collages or like videos to show different pictures from an event you went to or a vacation you went on. That is some of the cool stuff there. They also had like a text to like a AI text.
Photo to
Boy,
text.
words are hard. Thank you. Yes, it's also getting really hot in here because I turned off my AC because the fan runs loud and I didn't want to be on stream. So if I get hot, like red hot like a tomato or red like a tomato, that's why. So I apologize.
I'm underground next to a server rack, so
yeah, I am 2 stories high and heat rises, so
there you go.
I didn't really choose too well. Yes, so they're gonna have an AI read text in your photos. You'll be able to, I believe, search for them in the Photos app, as well as if you have a phone number on the screen in the picture, you'll be able to tap on it and call that number. Or if there's some sort of different language, you'll be able to translate that.
That's pretty cool.
One of the bigger features of iOS is the added support and added functionality of the Wallet app. They're bringing this app and its suite of features now to door lock, so you'll be able to unlock your door with your phone. And then also, I guess more specifically the Wallet app, you'll be able to use hotel keys as well as added support for cars. And then the big one, which I'm not quite sure how I feel, is driver's license on the phone. Specifically, or I guess in the first case where they presented this feature would be at TSA. It makes sense in a digital world to have a digital ID. Just like having your credit card or your debit card on your phone, I think it presents very similar challenges and even bigger challenges with an ID versus a means of payment. We'll see how that works. It's going to be rolled out first with the TSA. I don't know if showing this to a cop will suffice at a stop, or in the future if you'll be able to flash this at like a voting booth or any area where you need to show your identification.
Speaking about a cop, real quick aside, think about the like really rural places. What's that newfangled poopy bit you got there? Like, let alone, here's my ID, it's on this phone, and then the cop's gonna be like, yeah, okay, but I digress.
Yeah. So that was iOS today. Again, there's a lot more to unpack. If you'd like to look at more of the iOS stuff, I totally suggest going to Apple's website. They do a full breakdown of all of the features there. Moving on to iPadOS. Finally bringing widgets to the home screen. I don't know why they didn't do this last year. I'm assuming it's because they wanted to do a test run on the phones before they brought it to the iPad. It just makes sense to add them to the screen, especially because you have a bigger screen, so you can have bigger widgets with more information. So bringing that to the home screen. They'll also be doing... is Ryan going to show up?
Oh. Did Ryan text in the group?
He did.
Oh, sure. Let's have him on. I'll try. I'll drop him in.
Can you port him in?
Yeah, I mean,
beam him in.
Yeah, let's beam him in. There we go. This is actually great for the title. Let's get this going.
This is why I love doing a live show, because anything goes and anything can happen. We only started this, and we always, talk amongst ourselves before we start the shows to make sure that we have everyone that can be available online for the show. but we hadn't heard from Ryan, and we usually take a bit of time before we say we're gonna start the show so we can do pre-show stuff and kind of plan some things out. And we hadn't heard from Ryan, and so yeah, I just got a message on my Apple Watch as I was in the middle of talking about widgets on the iPad.
He texted
that Ryan
about 20,
was
like
available.
texted almost 20 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, but
Oh, rip.
whoops. So we'll see if he joins up. But anyway, I'm gonna let you keep going on your little spiel here about iPad OS and all the cool new things Apple has been up to.
Yeah. And so the widgets, you're able to add the widgets to the home screen. They also have an easy portion of the dock specifically for the I don't know what to call it. I think it's like the app, the shelf. It's the file system that they created last year for the new or for the new version of their home screen from last year, and so now you're able to access that on the dock of the iPad in like a little icon similar to a size of an app. Also, you're able to build apps with Swift Playgrounds. I know I misinterpreted this earlier as I was watching this and I was snapping fits. I was like, oh my god, now you can make apps natively on the iPad as opposed to needing a Mac. Well, yes, but there's limitations and it's not quite what you think it is. So yes, you technically can make apps on the iPad with Swift Playgrounds, but it's not going to be as robust as doing it on a Mac and importing it and all that fun stuff. So we don't quite have a development system yet, or fully fledged development system for app development for the iPad, but hopefully now that these iPads are included in the M1 architecture or ecosystem, I suppose, they're just as capable as a Mac for code development. So, and especially with the added functionalities and use of their keyboards and their mice and the ability to add peripherals to make it a sort of standalone almost computer, I do expect sometime in the next few years, maybe, that you'll be able to develop apps natively with Swift on the iPad for iPad OS and iOS. Then this is where they started talking about some privacy things, which also spill into iOS. And these are some actually pretty interesting things. They started talking about privacy, specifically for in the Mail and in Safari. They'll now be doing all kinds of blocking with pixel tracking, as well as for if you open up an email, the company that sent it to you will no longer be able to see when you open that email. They won't be able to see your IP address, some things like that.
Okay.
I may have jumped the gun on some of the other privacy stuff because it was for iCloud, but still in the sphere of iPad OS and Siri. Siri will now be independent of the internet. They'll be doing more on-device speech recognition, which is really, really cool and really neat, considering this is not a feature that has been done before, obviously. The only limitation to that, which was not made clear in the keynote today, was that you have to have a device that has an A12 Bionic chip or newer. With iPhones, I believe it's the iPhone XS and newer. I believe it's the iPad 8th generation and newer. Any of the Pros should support it. And then Apple Watches will not support it, unfortunately.
I see.
So that kind of does stink. But they did show kind of a really cool feature where right now Siri has a problem where if you ask it multiple things at once, it struggles processing those requests. But they showed a feature where they asked Siri some questions and repeated questions without having to say, hey, Siri, or Siri, holding down, I believe, what was the power button. And he was just able to drill through requests, on-device requests, things like pull up this app, play this album, send a text to this person, things like that. So that's going to be really cool moving forward, considering it's been very internet-based and you need an internet connection to have Siri, even for on-device things, which is very cumbersome and quite annoying a lot of the time. Now moving to I want to say the watchOS and health side of things. Now you'll be able to send health data to your family members and also to your healthcare providers. So you're able to expedite that time between your healthcare provider sending results and you getting the information, or you sending your healthcare provider or your doctor some health information to get a test scheduled or an appointment set. So that's definitely really handy dandy. Again, I'm kind of going over in simplistic terms a lot of these things here. You can go to Apple's website and check a lot of that stuff out.
Side note, hate the floating faces again. I'm going to express more of my discontent with that, but I digress.
Oh, if you don't like memojis, you would have hated the opening.
Oh, I know.
Opening,
I saw it and I was just kind of like, ew. But
yeah, for those who didn't see it, the opening shot was of Tim Cook coming out of the back of the theater and opened up to the broad theater of empty seats. But instead of empty seats, they had all kinds of AR placed memojis.
Yeah.
And I don't like them. I think they're kind of creepy. I think they're kind of weird. At least that's my own personal opinion. But yeah, they were definitely featured there.
Yikes.
Yeah. On the AirPod side of things, they had some software tweaks, having the ability to announce notifications, also adding them to the Find My network. So now you can locate them just like you would an AirTag with that compass feature, which I think is really cool. Again, you have to have a phone that has a U1 chip in it. Excuse me. And so I can't remember what phones don't have it. But you have to have. It might also be the 10s or at least 10s, if not the 11, to use those features, which kind of stinks. But yeah, this is the portion where I thought that they were gonna unveil some new AirPods, or at least a refreshed version of the bottom tier AirPods that look more like the AirPod Pros, where they had a shot where they went straight to someone's ear. And it was a zoomed-in shot, and the guy took out an AirPod and then started talking about all the AirPod updates. Unfortunately, they didn't unveil any hardware here. Ooh. This is where things get kind of interesting. I shouldn't say kind of interesting, because it already had been in other places. But this is where I see Apple doing something kind of cool. They started talking more about iCloud, and they unveiled a new sort of bundle called iCloud Plus. Now, when they first started talking about it, I thought this was going to be a feature that was going to be rolled out to everyone, because Apple is very privacy-centric, and this iCloud Plus feature or service is more of a privacy thing, though it's really, really cool. Basically, they've unveiled their own VPN service, as well as a way to skew your emails. Your email when you sign up for things, or you're going online and you're searching for things.
They call it aliasing. So basically adding random email addresses that go to your email, basically. So so whatever organization doesn't know what the real email is.
Right. Yeah. So that's really great for tracking and purposes and privacy. And then also they HomeKit camera storage. They started talking about a lot about the HomeKit camera systems, where now you can see it on your Apple TV. You can see your feeds on your Apple Watch as well as your phone. Now they're going to be able to port that video feed straight to your iCloud and keep that there. And all these three things are going to be part of this iCloud Plus bundle. It is part of the iCloud paid program, and so if you have an iCloud account already that you pay for added storage like I do, then you will already have access when these come out to these new features, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. I think especially just to pay a little more for at least for what I do for video and photo storage be able to get a VPN as part of that, I think is pretty neat. Also, what I think will be cool looking moving forward will be to see how that VPN stacks up against other competitors that are very frequently and very often advertised as the ad partners to a lot of different YouTubers, as like NordVPN and other companies.
Definitely.
Rounding it out to Apple Watch, there really wasn't much there. They just had some new watch face things. They have a new app, a mindfulness app. It's kind of like it makes you slow down, pause. It gives you prompts to sort of reflect on. So it can be nice to kind of just slow down and try and just kind of put yourself in more of a mindful position, I guess, sort of why they named it the mindfulness app. And then, yeah, they have some other watch faces and some added or improved versions of the Photos app and some of the other apps. Rounding it out to Siri. Siri is now going to be added to third-party accessories. This is actually probably one of the bigger announcements of the event, considering Siri has been relegated to Apple products until now. Basically, I want to say for the last 10 years. Siri has been strictly a Apple AI assistant, was not added to any of their third-party products or any other third-party products for that matter until now. So now it's going to be competing essentially with Google Assistant and Amazon's Alexa.
So I'm going to interrupt for 1 second here. So Alexa has allowed you to basically integrate with its API, do anything you want, integrate with the software as a whole, basically since it began. Do you feel as though this is Apple's answer to Amazon gaining more market share with all these third-party devices supporting Alexa?
Yes, I really do. I think Apple's finally realizing that Siri is very far behind, and so they're trying to, and they have, starting, I would say last year, in good faith, started making improvements to Siri to try and make it a bit more competitive. Now, I'm not saying it is better than or as good as, even as an Apple fan, as good as Google Assistant or really Amazon's Alexa. But now their willingness to open Siri up to third-party accessories is, I think, telling that Apple is willing to do what it needs to do to stay relevant and stay competitive. I can't tell you how many people I would go up to and ask about their, home products or automated products in the home, and would say Alexa without me asking what they use. Or what voice assistant runs their place. Mm-hmm. My parents' home, well, I guess both my mom and my dad's place, they both have Alexa running their townhome and in their home. And so I think if Siri can get a good grasp on that third party market and make improvements in good faith and really good improvements to Siri, I think not next year, not this year, maybe in 2 or 3 years, they can start giving, especially Alexa, a run for its money. Finally. It's really needed a boost, and I think this is going to be instrumental in that.
Very nice.
I have one last thing here, and that's Mac OS. I'll be honest with you, it's probably the one thing I paid the least most attention to. I have an iPhone, an iPad. I have a HomePod. I have an Apple TV. I have an Apple Watch. I think about the only thing I don't have is a Mac.
And that's the one thing I do have.
Oh, and I suppose and AirPods. I have both AirPods. But the one thing I don't have is Mac, which is kind of funny just because of how ingrained I am in the system, and all of my HomeKit accessories, are Apple, Siri based, right? So who knows? Maybe I'll end up getting a Mac. But some of the big things for the Mac, they have a cool feature where you're able to use the cursor on the Mac and move over to your iPad as almost like a separate screen.
This has been a feature for a while, using third-party apps, by the way.
Well, now it's native. The cool thing on that, though, which I don't know if it was truly a third-party ability, is now you're able to drag and drop files and share files across the device, between the iPad and a Mac, using that mouse drag and drop feature.
You can share a clipboard currently with the third-party apps, but you can't share the files as a whole. That's impressive.
Yes, which is really cool. They showed a demo where they had a Mac, actually an Intel-based Mac, MacBook Pro, running next to one of their new iPads, and they showed the feature where they're able to move the mouse from the Mac to the iPad. And then they did another demo where they had one of the new Mac, the iMacs, next to the MacBook, next to the iPad, and they dragged a file all the way over from the iPad to the iMac, and it was a iMovie file. So it was a fairly large file, and it worked pretty well. There was a little bit of a boot time, not that much, but considering I'm sure the size of the file, and a lot of the think time that has to happen before you can generate any sort of live playing feedback, I thought it was pretty good. So there was that. And that was, I would say that's probably more the bigger feature. They included shortcuts now, Siri shortcuts on the Mac, as well as the focus on the Mac. The focus being the new D&D feature, as well as Shareplay on there. So, oh, and I guess the one last thing would be, and this is something, talking about features that have been available via third-party apps and other, like through Android or in Windows, other features that have been available on other platforms for a long time. They redesigned the tab, the upper tab bar on the Mac, and so now you can do tab groups, or new tab groups, and just sort of a new redesigned interface. Mac OS was pretty light on improvements and advancements. It's also called Mac OS Monterey. I like that because I'm a boat guy, and Monterey is also a brand of boats. That's a pretty good boat brand, and so I thought that was cool. But yeah, that's kind of rounds out WWDC 2021. Again, all hardware, no software. Maybe we'll see some of the other new hardware that we have been anticipating, such as the new AirPods, and possibly some sort of FaceTime camera thing that Facebook seems to also have a similar device right now. I can't remember what they call it. Possibly, I guess, in September or whenever Apple does their iPhone event. But yeah, a lot of software stuff, and again, if you want to read more into this, you can go to Apple's website and read into it. What I found also is that typically, when they unveil a lot of these things, they go with more of the bigger items, and then at the end they show like the title card for the OS in the middle, and then all the features around it. And typically, I would say a quarter of those features were not mentioned at all in the keynote, but were pretty cool and typically are ones that people get excited for. So if you want to read any more into those, you can go on Apple's website and check out their page on that and do deep dives into it.
Perfect. Well, that is a very thorough explanation of everything that happened
I could
today.
be more thorough, but I don't want to.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you could. I mean, we've kind of beat the Apple horse here, and I know you have a treat especial coming, but I actually may put that out to next week because
Whoa,
we spent 40 minutes on 35 minutes on all Apple stuff. So, I mean, definitely
that's fair.
something that's coming along. Uh,
I guess
I
it would be
just
better to give it more time.
Right. And we can talk a little bit about some of these new features that were kind of shoved under the rug a little bit, and go into your treat for next week. So tune in next week, and we're going to see something great. And hopefully by that time, Ryan will be able to join as well. I just got a text from him. He says uh, he didn't have his audio gear set up just yet, so we're waiting for him to get that set up, and we should be good to go. Um, so from there, we have actually a lot of articles for you tonight. We're going to kind of breeze through these, not super quick, but go through them a fair bit. We've already eaten up a fair bit of time here. So we have an article for Dell. Dell's Alienware brand was sued over its unprecedented upgradability claims. Long story short, one of their customers believes that because Intel changed the chipset that is used within these laptops, you're not able to swap in parts in and out as much as Dell touted, and really made a big marketing push to kind of like say like, yeah, you could swap in and out every other part that you want. And basically his claim is that as you made this investment thinking that you'd be able to upgrade it over time, but that's not the case. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that one, Grislow.
I don't think it's going to be a hot take. It's probably going to be one of the coldest takes ever. But I mean, it's not a new take for anyone to say that it's very disappointing to hear when consumers are, surprised by how unupgradable something is that they've purchased after being told that they're able to upgrade it or add new features or, add modules to it if it's a modular device. And that's a pretty disheartening thing, especially when you get to devices that are, very expensive and you're paying a lot for them. You expect to be able to either service them very easily or upgrade them very easily. And those two kind of things go in tandem. And if you can't do one or the other, or most of the time it's both, it's a problem. It's really not great for the company. I mean, it's not like they're going to lose sleep over this, I'm sure. They've got plenty of other things down the pipeline that they'll be working on, and that'll make them money, that people will forget about this. But this is not what you want to see, even especially, I guess, in the short term, if you're Dell, or at all if you're a consumer.
Right. And the big thing that I guess struck me for this is they were advertising this. Like they're like, "Hey, we want you to upgrade parts in this computer." And then because of this change in this new model, the parts were no longer compatible with the older model computer. So,
Yeah, it is what they call in the industry a big oof.
there you go. Use those real technical terms here. Alrighty. Well, anyway, completely shifting gears here. We have a article from NASA, actually, NASA's Mars project here. And I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but there's clouds on Mars. I didn't know this, but the cooler part is they're like shiny. They're shiny clouds. As I guess that's not what you could call it, but basically there's like these iridescent mother of pearl clouds. And it just looks kind of cool. I didn't know that. Long story short, this article just kind of goes into detail, saying like all of the stuff that Curiosity was able to find, like showing some of the weather there. And I didn't realize, but it's like pretty rare to have clouds on Mars. And now, because of new technology, they're realizing that these clouds are much higher than they'd originally thought they were. So what that means is instead of it being like water droplets, people are thinking that it's carbon dioxide, and that's kind of cool, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
It's
think it's
dry
pretty neat.
ice. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. This was not an article that I found through really many or any of mainstream sources. I mean, that was straight from NASA. That was a NASA press release that you just showed. And that it actually was only, I think it's like a week and a half old too. So it's not breaking news or whatever. It didn't happen over the weekend. But I think it's important to continue to show people what's going on Mars as things come out from NASA. This is a big investment on NASA's part, and this is a big experiment. The whole rover is a big experiment, especially bringing material back from Mars, Martian material, to investigate it and to do tests on it and experiments on the samples that they get, and then also just to take pictures. This is probably one of the first times, or this is one of the first times we've had like a nice high definition color camera on Mars, and we're able to see a lot more than we were ever able to see. So I think it's important to continue to show people what's going on in this Mars exploration, so people stay informed and stay kind of excited about Mars.
Definitely. Speaking about space and other things, this was breaking as of this is today. It's the 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was breaking as of today. Jeff Bezos is going to space on the first crewed flight of his Shepard capsule for Blue Origin. That's nuts to me. He's the first kind of like CEO type person to go into space, which is interesting to see. Um, okay. that's kind of my thoughts of that. It's your company, do what you want.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool. Also something to note. That flight will be taking place, I believe, approximately 2 weeks after he cedes CEO-ship of Amazon, when the next guy steps up. And so this is kind of going to be his
Andy Jassy.
big first. Yeah. So this is going to be kind of his first big. I don't know if it's going to be like I guess it is a PR stunt, but this is going to be his big sort of first push when he's exclusively focusing on his company here. I believe it's going to be flying somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 miles above the Earth.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool. It's a crew. It's a small capsule, I think. It's going to be him, his brother, and then a few other people.
Yeah,
I think one of these spots is going to be auctioned off, and right now it's going for something like, I don't know, a cool $3.2 million or something.
Yep.
Yeah, so it'll be cool. This will be a good first for the world.
Let's check.
And
it's up to 3.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's up to 3.5 now. So,
okay.
On their website.
Well, okay. Well, I think any progress is good progress, and this is just another step in the right direction for this sort of base fair.
Exactly. And we'll see how it works. Definitely going to be interesting. In other Amazon news, we got two kind of rapid fire articles for you here today. If you own an Alexa device, please listen up, or a Ring doorbell, or anything that connects to the internet that has Amazon somewhat associated with it. This is a new feature that Amazon is going to be adding called Amazon Sidewalk. Basically, what that will do is that will allow your device to connect to other neighbors' Wi-Fi's if it may be stronger in that given location. Likewise, that allows your neighbors' devices to connect to yours because of just the way the internet works. So there's this is kind of a PSA. I understand the point of them wanting to do this because it improves the speed and reliability and everything, but they're just kind of taking your internet. And I know a lot of internet service providers like mine just decided to put in data caps during the pandemic, which is a totally great move on their part. And that's eating away at some of that information. So, if you're interested in turning that off, look up Amazon Sidewalk turn off, and there will be plenty of instructions there on how you can do it for you. But I mean, I see the point. I just don't like things I don't know relaying traffic through my network personally.
I mean, I don't think they're going to be nefarious.
You never
A ton
know.
of nefarious, web traffic. it's for consumer devices. I'm not too worried. I'm also not on the Amazon ecosystem, so I'm safe. But I know, like I said, when we're talking about iOS and Siri integration now in third-party devices, Amazon sort of runs that space. And so, yeah, I can see it being a concern for people that are concerned. For the average consumer, I don't think it is that alarming. But certainly, if you're concerned about privacy, you're concerned about any sort of foreign internet traffic on your system, on your internet, then be careful.
Definitely. The next article we have for you is another Amazon story, this time for AWS. They're announcing an IoT, or Internet of Things, partnership with the farming solutions provider Yara. Long story short, what they're looking to do is automate farming and kind of work with Yara here to create what's called a digital production platform that will basically work with Amazon services and stuff like that to gain sensor data and crop data and all that stuff out in the field, which is really cool. They're basically pinning it as a responsibility to feed the world and protect the planet, and basically figuring out ways to automate and work with farming in ways that are much more efficient. Um, so there's your announcement, and Amazon getting into another thing. I'm not sure if it should or whatever, but hey, if they can make it more efficient, why not?
Automate the world, baby. My job's in automation, and I totally am
So's mine.
for. I'm totally for the introduction of the Internet of Things into new spaces, and making things more efficient, getting more information and data on your systems that are running. I'm all for it. Keep it coming.
Definitely. Speaking of automation, maybe that may be a little harder to do for the next year or so, because Intel announced that their semiconductor shortage could last years, as they put it. Their new CEO, Pat Gelsinger, said that there could be a potential global shortage for several years. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure if this is just new CEO blowing smoke or kind of what's going on. But we will definitely see what's going on here. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I would like for this thing to not last long. I don't know if I told you this. I went out to get some SD cards last week. Not even like big processing power chips, just SD cards. Like SanDisk, micro SD cards. I couldn't find them anywhere, and it was so hard to find them. I went to Walmart and they finally had them, but it's affecting everything. I mean, the Raspberry Pis, especially, like I know I talked to you about this. I bought a Raspberry Pi, I think like 3 weeks ago
little
now.
single board computer for those who don't know.
Yeah, and this computer that shouldn't be more than $35 normally ran me approximately $50, which is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for what you're getting. It's a perfect little computer, and it was spec to what I needed it to be. But with the specs that it had at the price that I purchased it at, in a normal time, I would not have bought it at that price.
Right.
But it is what it is. I hope it doesn't last long. This chip shortage, it definitely is problematic. When you see everyone's at home, and I mean people are going back out, right? But at least up until now, everyone's been at home. People are getting antsy and bored, and they want to buy stuff, right? They want to get more iPads. iPads are up right now by a lot. Apple has sold a ton of them, at least in the last year or so, or in the last few weeks or months. I'm sorry, with the new iPads, because they're seeing people want more products because they're just bored at home.
Right.
And people with PC projects and all kinds of things. I mean, I just got a new TV in January. It's affecting that too.
Right.
I really hope it doesn't last as long as this guy says it does, as the Intel CEO says it does.
We will definitely see on that. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, because the biggest problem at the end of the day is people are still trying to recover and get their jobs back, right? People are seeing decreased amounts of money that they can spend, and these chip shortages are eventually really going to cause, if they haven't already in the areas you've seen them, going to cause very significant increases in prices for consumer products that you're not going to want to pay, but you're going to have to if you really want the products, because that's going to be the way it is,
Right.
unfortunately.
And the next story we have here really, really kind of compounds that too. BitTorrent creators' green cryptocurrency called Chia is accused of burning through solid state disk drives. So long story short, the chip shortage is bad as is. You just mentioned storage is an issue. Well, what about cryptocurrency that uses storage? And basically, what this is it's a cryptocurrency that uses storage instead of computing power. Well, there's still computing power, but it uses storage as kind of the asset in which you mine. And long story short, people are saying that this is causing a lot more e-waste and perpetuating the chip shortage, because these drives that normally would last years and years and years are now getting burnt out in about 3 weeks due to the excessive writes and reads on these drives now. And they're just getting burnt out and causing e-waste. So it's insane. It says creating plots at this rate burns up the equivalent of a 1 terabyte SSD every 3 seconds. So
Oh,
that's insane. So we'll
oh,
see. We'll see.
oh. I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I did not see that line in the article. But you heard me. As soon as you said that, that just makes my stomach weak. Like, a 1 terabyte SSD is not only is it expensive, but it's big and it's just store a heck of a lot. And for in a chip shortage time right now, where it's hard to come by chips, let alone any device that has some sort of computing power, SSDs being one of them. This is not the time to be burning through those like they're going out of style.
Right.
Yikes.
Definitely yikes. And
Yeah.
we'll see with the chip shortage how that pans out. Alrighty. The next kind of shifting gears here, we have an article from Elon Musk. He says Tesla is canceling its Model S Plaid Plus, and it's canceling its Plaid Plus model. He said that the Model S Plaid is, quote, just so good, and that will ship this week after a small delay. Yeah, he kind of just said it in a tweet. Long story short, super, super fast car. Um, and yeah, that's about it. 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing to come out of this, though, from what I understand, the Plaid Plus model, not only was it going to be, or supposed to be, slightly faster, it was also supposed to have an increased range, like 540 miles versus the 300 so that the Plaid does. So I would be very frustrated as someone who was looking forward to that, to not have that available. I also don't really think that I would prioritize, especially at the speeds that these cars already go at. I would not be prioritizing speed over range. So that's kind of the ceiling right now on a lot of these cars. Not how fast they can go, because we already know they can go really freaking fast, right? It's how far they can go. So I think it's kind of disappointing. I'm curious if that has anything to do with any of the shortages that the pandemic has created. If this Plaid Plus version was not necessary or not in Tesla's budget to even produce because of any sort of shortages that were happening, like
Right.
possibly in the battery shortage area, although they have their own batteries.
It does
But
say.
I mean,
It says the company's earnings call in April, Musk said the shortage was causing, quote, insane difficulties for the company. It
yeah.
said, and at the May, he said it was responsible for Tesla raising the price of its vehicles. So
Yeah, and this isn't the only thing that has been controversial. I think last week they announced that they're going to be taking out like lumbar support for the Model 3 and Model Y. And they justified that by saying that they took in user data and found that almost none of their Model 3 and Model Y users even use the lumbar support. And this is after pushback from the consumers saying, what the heck, why are you taking this feature away? And then also increasing costs. So yeah, it's a difficult time for everyone right now. No, Tesla, I'm sure, did not want to be the company that talks about this awesome car and then says, yeah, we can't do that, or has features in their cars and says, okay, we can't do that, and then also upcharges. They're not the only people affected or company affected by the shortage. And fortunately, that's kind of how it is right now.
Right. Well, we're going to see about that because I don't know how this chip shortage is going to go because Tesla revamped their Model S and X featuring RDNA 2 GPUs with AMD partnering with them. Basically, long story short, they're going to partner with AMD and use like a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X GPU within the Tesla, which is going to be super cool. And they're just basically getting new series on that. So, not sure what your thoughts on are with that.
I mean, we talk about a very simple, I would say a fairly almost standard feature in cars about lumbar support. Granted, this feature was taken away in their budget models, the Model 3 and Model Y, versus the S and the X, which are their more premium models. But I really don't know what to say to this. It seems so silly. When they announced support for the Bluetooth controllers to be able to play games on these new next gen vehicles, I think people were kind of like confused. I'm not sure if they were more excited than confused. At least I was a little more confused than excited. Not only because it just seems out there, but I'm just not in the market for a Tesla right now. I'm still paying off my Honda Accord. But I think Tesla is getting to the point where they're starting to add features that are just unnecessary. This being a very prime example, and then also the supposed SpaceX package or edition
The
of
rocket
the
boosted
Model
car?
S
Yeah.
with rocket thrusters. Yeah,
That was a roadster,
I
by the
think
way, I believe. But
right. They're starting to get to just kind of unnecessary features, and especially when you mention the chip shortage. I think it's important to keep that in context of this too, where they're slashing features on their budget models and then also adding these really wild features that in turn do kind of add to this chip shortage in a negative way. I don't think it's necessary. Also, I don't really know how practical it is if people are going to start carrying around, game console controllers, wireless game console controllers to play games in the passenger seat or like in the middle back seat of that center screen.
right,
It's silly. I don't think it's necessary.
right.
At least from a sustainability and trying to make electric vehicles more mainstream. We shouldn't be making these cars more expensive or giving reasons to make these cars more expensive. That's just my opinion.
Well, speaking of silly and unnecessary, the next article we have is about Norton Antivirus. They're adding Ethereum cryptocurrency mining to their antivirus package, which I'm kind of confused about because it says Norton 360 customers will have access to an Ethereum mining feature in the quote coming weeks. This is a antivirus software. This is supposed to prevent you from like bad people from using your computer to mine cryptocurrency or do other bad things. And it's I, I don't even know, like it's just saying like they're going to be basically building this into their software where they can earn some, basically you can earn some cash by just mining cryptocurrency kind of in the background as people um will do, but it's leading to higher energy, and it's just like what? So this was really silly, and I am very confused about it, but whatever, Norton. You do you. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the one thing that I mean, to talk about like some strange articles today. This one is definitely more off the wall than I guess a lot of the other ones. But like you talk about privacy and security, and it's a consumer centric product, right? Um,
Right.
this is it's interesting, but I guess the one thing that I would caution people on is don't forget that cryptocurrency income is taxable in the United States. Um, you know, a lot of these things we talk about on the show are consumer electronics and consumer products, and the standard consumer does not read far into the disclaimers. They don't read far into the possible like bad situations that could have come from certain specific uses of their products. And I think this is one of them because you'll see people. I'm sure people will read the headline and go, "Oh, great! I can start making money using Norton services." And all of a sudden, Norton could potentially take a cut of it, and then if they aren't already, and
Well, it's
then
it's a
they're gonna
subscription. As part
okay.
of your subscription service, you have access to this feature. So,
Mm. And then also, the you have to you pay off part of that income as part of you having that cryptocurrency because it's taxable in the United States.
needless to
Um,
say, electricity too, the increased cost of
and
actually the computer running and wear and tear on the
yeah,
components and all that stuff. So,
yeah, and again, in a chip shortage world right now, I'm not quite sure if something like this should be pushed by Norton. Um, it's an interesting sort of new aspect to the product. I'm not quite sure if the timing is great, and I
right.
think they need to do a better job, or they will need to do a better job educating the consumer on the entire product and service and everything that comes with it.
Right. And one of the other interesting things that I wanted to bring up in this article too is near the bottom of the article they basically are like, wait a second, Norton is installed by default on a lot of computers that people buy. And is this going to now become a common occurrence where basically these vendors install crap on your computer, then you can kind of make money off of it, and they're just installing all this bloat and this awful stuff on the computer, and basically being like, hey, you could make money and kind of dangling that reward in front of you, but leading to this slippery slope of just like they're opening a door they put in the article. Like, how do they like? Is this something that people want or need? So
Right, right.
who
Yeah, and
knows?
again, like today's day and age, and I mean, really in today's day and age, in May or what is it, June 7th, 2021. I guess my Apple Watch doesn't tell me the day, so that was really good that I remembered the day.
Great design, Apple.
I could have changed my watch face, so they have good design. I just don't choose that one. Also, I didn't look hard enough. It says Monday the 7th. It just doesn't say the day or the month. To be fair, I also could have looked at my computer screen in front of me and looked at it. Either way, yeah, in today's day and age, in the middle, or at least the coming off the end of the pandemic, but still not the chip shortage. This is probably not what we want in a company in something in a product the company's trying to push.
Right, right. And we'll see how this plays out. I'm definitely going to want to kind of find a follow-up story on this, see how the community accepts that. So we'll see. We are definitely going to see. Moving on to our obligatory NFT news. Um, Matt, you sent this one in. Iconic Olympic pins are being replaced by NFTs. Number one, I didn't
Yep.
know this was a thing. Number two, cool, they're NFTs now. So I'm not sure if you want to say anything else on that one.
Yeah. So this year, I suppose, and I didn't even know this, they won't be having visitors to the Olympics, and so um, typically they have pins for their events and for the Olympics, um, and you can buy them, and they become collectible, obviously, over time. Um, but because you can't have visitors this year, they found a way to integrate them in a different way through the use of NFTs. This again harkens back to our conversation, 2 months ago or whatever it was, of how are these going to be applicable in the real world? When are we going to see these really starting to pop off? And the answer is now, or a month ago. It's happening. It's interesting, and it's kind of cool. You'll be able to buy them online. They range from like $9 to $500, and there's different designs. I believe at least there are pictures of some older pins that they created as NFTs.
Yeah, here,
So
let
there
me look.
might be, yeah. So I think you're also able to buy like older ones.
Yeah, like the
Um,
Munich ones.
yeah. So I suppose from the standpoint of the Olympic committee or conference or whatever that the governing body is that reaps the benefits of this. Um, this is kind of a way to recoup costs. Um, Again, I will remain I will remain in the same stance I have been this entire time we talked about NFTs. I have not wavered on this position, and I don't think I will on this position. We're talking about again a digitization of a physical collectible. I don't think that the digital version will hold any more significance or prize status over a physical version or copy. Now, obviously, this
Right.
year they won't be doing physical ones, or at least for now they won't be. I don't know why they can't just sell physical ones anyway for the collectors that don't really care about NFTs. To put it quite frankly,
Hmm.
I would be in that camp as well. I would prefer uh, the Olympic Committee to put out physical buttons and pins. But if this is what they're doing and people buy into it, and they see that this is something they want to continue doing, I'm sure they will continue to do it. I don't think that they'll be exclusively moving to NFT versions of their pins, at least for the next few years, but that could change.
Right. Definitely. We'll have to see too, how this is accepted and whether people actually are into it. I feel like pins are very much more associated with older people. So I'm not sure how they're going to entice a younger crowd, which would probably be more apt to buy an NFT into this type of market. So we'll definitely see.
That's fair. That's fair. I guess the only other thing I could think of, or situation I could think of where younger kids are exposed to pins and that the physical pin um, takes on more meaning would be at Disney,
I
where they
was gonna
have
say that, yeah.
yeah, the collectible pins at Disney. Um,
And who knows? Maybe
I mean,
maybe it's similar to
adults buy
this.
them, absolutely they
Hmm.
do. But I don't think that I don't think that the Olympic NFTs will really take off the way and maintain that sort of status that the little kids hold that of the physical ones from Disney. But we'll see. Maybe culture will change. I mean, you did say yes. Pins are typically associated with older people. Like I don't know many of my friends that go out and get like pins of the universities they visit or the vacation spots they go to. It's usually like a T-shirt or whatever, um,
Right.
or a plaque or something. Um, but who knows? I mean, maybe it is a dying kind of thing, and this is the way to bring it back to sort of modernize it. In the end, it is just a collectible, right? And anything that's collectible will have a value and can only go up or down in value depending on how sought after that valuable thing is or that asset is. So we'll
Right.
see.
We will see indeed. Speaking of sought after, The next article we have for you, the iconic Doge meme is going to be auctioned off as an NFT. Proceeds are going to be going towards charity, said a spokesperson. But this one is going to be interesting because uh, it says basically a Japanese nursery teacher, Etsuko Sato's Shiba Inu Kabosu, were shared, and the Doge meme trend was born. But the interesting thing about this auction in particular is this is the first time Know Your Meme is certifying the authenticity of this meme NFT. So basically, what is it? Sato's releasing some of these pictures of her dog as NFT. So basically, it's going to be really cool. That's awesome. And if it's going to charity, that would be wonderful. I just
And it is. If you go to the bottom,
yeah.
they do
Oh,
mention
let me
yes.
see. Where is it?
Like the last possible paragraph.
We believe creators should get properly credited for their work in this space.
Okay, maybe not the last one,
Okay.
but it's in there.
I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
Yeah, there you go. The proceeds from the sale of Doge will go toward
Yep.
charities. Spokesperson for the auction said.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. And I mean, it's a doggo. Who doesn't like a doggo? So
I think it's kind of funny to see memes being sold as NFTs. I've never really thought of a meme as having any more value than the laugh that you get. I suppose they do when you're talking about the original meme. I also suppose if you want to consider the memes, you could look at the viral videos that have been already sold as NFTs as sort of memes in themselves. The Charlie bit my finger.
$761,000 for that one.
Yeah, the Leave Britney Alone one.
Yeah.
The David After Dentist. I mean, these were all, in a way, I mean, they're all jokes, right?
Right.
There are joke aspects to them. They're pop culture. I didn't think there would be any more value to them more than the initial laugh. I guess maybe the viral videos are a little different because they're more pop culture icons in themselves than these other guys. They've been around longer than these other ones like Doge, the Doge meme. But again, if people will pay money for it and it's going to a good cause, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to throw a fit, and I encourage it, I suppose. Maybe I will buy a Doge NFT.
Who knows? Who knows? We could figure that out from there. Well, the last story that we have for you tonight, you may be wondering why I chose this title for the episode, but long story short, the article that I wanted to bring to your attention was about Boom Supersonic. United placed a $3 billion order for 15 supersonic jets. And this has really, really, really put into perspective a lot of kind of what we've been talking about and some of this stuff that we've been looking at over the course of the entire series here. But Boom Supersonic, I think we talked about them once before. They are a startup basically that is making a supersonic plane that's not like the Concorde from 2004. They're very much so modern, sleek, very interesting. And the cool thing is they're going to take your trips down exponentially. It says can fly at a top speed of Mach 1.7, which is insane. So, like a New York to London flight could be flown in under 4 hours, and San Francisco to Tokyo could be flown in 6. Like, that is insane. And basically, United bought, I believe, 15 of these planes that they're going to use for these long haul overseas flights. And to put that into perspective, the Concorde retired, the last supersonic plane that retired in 2003, and that was used for your overseas travel. But the interesting thing about this plane as a whole is they're designing it for 88 passengers that are one-to-one business class. They're just making it super long, super efficient, super comfortable. and flying at 60,000 feet where no other aircraft can currently go. So that is going to be absolutely insane to see it, for me at least. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and there's actually a few more things that you didn't mention that are really neat. One of them being, if probably not the biggest reason why United, next to faster plane speeds, why United purchased these aircraft, is these are going to be some more sustainable aircraft. They're going to be running on some fully sustainable aviation fuel. And so it's going to be really good for the environment, also good for United's PR, obviously, and just kind of neat in general. The amount of airports that currently support this fuel or that are gearing up to support the fuel are going to be few and far between. So it's going to be a small program to start. I mean, they're only buying 15, but they have a tentative agreement to purchase another 35 if they so choose in the future. And this is going to be going online in 2029 to the general public, with the first flights in 2025, 2026. So it's going to be pretty neat. I mean, the idea that you can get such a long, or at least long or far in distance, flight condensed into a short amount of time is going to be really neat. I'm curious about the costs, if these are gonna be more premium
Yes,
rides.
guaranteed.
Not only because of the time it will take now, or the cut down time it'll take on these flights, but also because of the experience you're getting inside. It's going to be more of a business class sort of experience. I want to say, going through that version of that article I saw, there's going to be more like automated experiences and services. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
No other airlines doing it right now.
Yet.
Actually, these aircraft you're seeing are renders. Obviously, not only because United hasn't purchased these yet, but also because Boom hasn't technically made these aircrafts yet, and they're still testing them out. But they're very hopeful that in 3 or so years, or 4 years here, 4 or 5 years, they'll be able to get some of the first ones up into the skies. And by close to the end of the decade, yeah, there you go, the XB1.
Yeah, this is their prototype plane right now that currently does exist.
Yeah, so that's quite a bit smaller than what United is tentatively purchasing here. But if this works out, it's going to be pretty neat. And I'm very curious to see how consumers react or will react to this new air travel accommodation. If they were willing to, if it is going to be more expensive, if they're willing to pay more for a shorter flight to have more time in their destination, or to get back home quicker, or just to have a better in-flight experience.
Right. And the other thing that's going to be I'm going to keep an eye on too is to see if other airlines follow suit. Uh, the issue with the Concorde was it was so costly to operate, and there just wasn't enough interest in the prices that were being charged that it wasn't sustainable, and that's why we aren't seeing them fly today. Um, it's it's been rumored around that it's significantly cheaper to operate one of these aircraft that will give you an even better return on investment than a Concorde would have, because your Concorde still doesn't, I don't believe, can reach that same maximum speed. I mean, granted, I'm no aeronautical engineer, I'm no plane expert here. I could be completely wrong, and all my friends who watch this could probably give me a lot of BS about this when they watch the replay. But I think it's going to be super cool to see what happens here.
I mean, as the token engineer of this podcast, I also am not qualified to speak on this. I am not an aeronautical engineer. I'm not an aerospace engineer. I am by my major an electrical engineer. I can't really tell you much about this in terms of the physics or anything like that. the one thing the
Plane
first thing I
go
thought
fast. That's all
yeah,
that's
well,
my valid knowledge here.
yeah, well, actually, you kind of leaned right into what I was about to say, because one of the first things that stood out to me was that the speed of this plane is going to be pretty significant. It's going to be, what do you say, 1.7, 1.8 Mach?
Yeah, Mach 1.7 it says.
Yeah, that's pretty significant speed. Now, I've never gone faster, at least in my own commercial vehicle, than, let's say, somewhere in the triple digits on the highway. When it was legal.
To put that into perspective real quick, that is 1,304.36 miles per hour.
Yeah, so I'm really curious how this is going to be how this aircraft is going to be vetted by the was it FCC?
The FAA.
FAA, thank you.
FCC does technology. FAA does planes.
Right. I thought F and I thought, oh, flight, yes. Yeah, I think that the FAA is going to have to do a bit more vetting with this, making sure it's safe for consumers. Because saying plane go fast is really easy, and saying, oh, we'll get, a 10-hour flight cut down to 3 hours or 4 hours. That sounds great, especially for a company's bottom line, getting more customers in the door, charging potentially more for this service, and making more money. But there's a lot that Boom has to prove before they can even deliver their first aircraft to United. And of a lot of those things, one of them is absolutely going to be what is the impact on the people, on the passengers on the flight, right?
What's the safety of this? Is it
Exactly.
safe?
Exactly.
Right.
Because I mean, it's pretty fast. I mean,
It's very fast.
how does that compare to like a standard 747?
Let's do a 777.
Sure.
777's top speed is at cruise is 560.
And this was how fast?
1304. So
Yeah,
yeah,
a little faster.
a little
Like,
fast.
what is that? Like 4 to 5 times?
It's something like that. I don't know. I'm not good at the maths, but
I shut my brain off after I clock out. So
yeah, same. But anyway,
no, it's
more
it's gonna
fast.
be pretty.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to see. I mean, I love traveling. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's one thing I look forward to after the pandemic's over, at least abroad. And now that I'm out of college, I'm able to do that and take time off and experience the world, right? And so that's absolutely something I would consider in the future if it gets me to my destination quicker, if the ride is better for me in terms of the experience, the in-flight experience.
And the
Also,
value it provides is worth
yeah,
the additional price it would be for the
yeah,
ticket.
and also just because I'm really curious about this, I also just want to like be
Go
on one of
Mach
these flights.
1.7. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to experience this as someone who's curious about the technology and who's curious about this new and this potentially new wave, or this potential new wave of air travel.
Definitely. And we will have to keep an eye on that as we're
Oh,
going through
one
it.
thing I didn't mention, and you have to pull this up because I think this is really neat. So yes, United has purchased, and it's in the same article. You can scroll down, and you'll find it as soon as I say it. United has tentatively purchased 15 of these units, but the U.S. Air Force is also, or has also, expressed interest in purchasing one of these, or to turn it into an Air Force One. And this would be a very practical application for this new aircraft, because there's no more important thing than trying to get the president and his associates and everyone he travels with around their destination really quickly. And especially if this can be safer than a typical Boeing Air Force One, I'm all for it. And I believe they're also trying to, or they want to. Well, no, they did just purchase new aircraft. I believe in the last administration. for Air Force One. But that's not to say that they wouldn't also purchase another one of these.
And that's
I suppose at the expense of the taxpayer, but
and think about okay, what's the life expectancy of that plane? 20 years maybe? By that time, they could be rolled out and they could be relatively common, so it would just make logical sense to purchase a plane like this. You just don't know whenever the lifespan of the brand new Air Force One would end. So who knows? It's all
yeah.
speculation. But
Yeah, I can't believe I almost forgot about that. But yeah, that was one of the other things that stood out to me. In the article that I sent in, that first one that you had pulled up, it was mainly pictures, which I thought was phenomenal for this in this context with showing on the podcast. And it was definitely hidden in there too.
Right.
You had to scroll through a lot of it, but it was a lot of really cool pictures and a lot of really cool renderings and predictions for time of travel. So we will, as you would say, we will see.
We will see indeed. There you go. Took the words right out of my mouth. Alrighty. Well, with that, I think we've spoken for like an hour and a half at this point. But hey, thank you so much for coming out, Grislow, today. Really appreciate it. It is always a pleasure to have you out here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our episode today. Check back next week for a treat especial when Grislow will show off something cool. And some new articles that will be coming and new tech news as it emerges. So with that, thank you all for being here tonight. Hope you have a wonderful evening and tune in next week to more Tech Talk Nation.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Tech Talk Nation. Tune in next week for more discussion on the latest in tech.